Then we have account create. Let's check out that one. You have creation, account name. Now you could have put a date in there, although it's not very wise because if you need to sort, it's not going to sort like a date, because text fields can contain any of these types. But really the two choices you're looking at here are name and account name. Now what's the difference between the two? I've chosen account name because that's tied to security. You know who's logged in and who's creating that record or modifying that record, because the login information they use through the security portion of FileMaker is what's getting tracked. If you use this name right here, well, this information comes from your system software, and anybody can change that at any time. And it doesn't really track people when they go to somebody else's computer. Let's say they happen to be using somebody else's computer for the day. Well, you're going to be auto-entering that computer name, not the name they use to log on to the system. So very important, I always use account name, very rarely, almost in fact never. Let's just say never use the name choice because it's just inaccurate. It won't really track what's going on. And then prohibit modification is also important here. And then basically the same thing on account mod, except you're down here on the second choice. And then you have prohibit modification during data entry. Simple as that. So what I often do is I show many different ways to do the same thing. So this is one way you can copy and paste, and a lot of people like this. But you may find it more efficient to go into the table section and click this import button. It has copy and paste, but that would require you to copy and paste the table, and you can certainly do it that way. Import essentially does the same thing as copy and paste, but you don't have to exit out of Managed Database to do it. So you might like this one better, but again, you could copy and paste to get the same effect as what we're going to do with import. And to do that, you would just click on your table, probably in the housekeeping template file I showed you, copy it, and then come back here and paste. But we're going to choose import, and we're going to go down here and find the template. That's the file that we copied and pasted the fields from, but we're going to import a table of fields this time. But before we do that, notice this import.log. This is a little text file that FileMaker Advanced makes. It tracks all of these advanced things you do, such as copying and pasting, importing. All this kind of stuff is tracked inside this import log. And if you keep it there, it'll add all the things you've done during a session into this one log. If you keep throwing it away, it'll just keep making it. So I'd highly recommend just leaving it there and getting used to it. And sometimes it may be useful to see what you've done. You know, remember what you've done, go back through the log and see and recreate what you've done. And it may help out a lot. So we're going to choose the template here. Click open. Now you've got a dialog that lists all of the tables inside template.fb7. There's only one, so we'll check it, but you can import a bunch of tables at once by checking all of them if you wanted to. We'll click OK. You get a summary of what happened, and there's a lot of information here, but I'm really only concerned with the number of errors, which are 0. That's the important thing. And you also have this open log file. Well, that's a log file we just talked about, so you can quickly open it from here if you want to. We're going to click OK. You get your template table. And the idea here is that you're going to come over here and call it My New Table. Hit the change button, and then we go over to the field section. You'll notice we're on this table. You could switch to contacts, right? But we're looking at My New Table, and you can see that it has all these fields. So you can import it, and now you're ready to go ahead and add the fields specific to this new table. But you've quickly gotten all those fields in there. So that's another way to go ahead and efficiently get your housekeeping fields in there. Now we really don't want this table in here, so I'm going to delete it. We're going to go ahead and delete it, and there's also this little checkbox that says also remove occurrences of these tables in the graph. Well, that's referring to this relationships tab here. And we haven't really gone over it and what it means, but most of the time you're going to want to check that, because if you don't, it's going to leave some table occurrences over here in this area that relate to nothing. So it's a good idea to check this and get them out of there. But we'll go over relationships and table occurrences later, and you'll understand more about what that checkbox means. So it's gone. We're back to our field section. We have all the fields. We have our housekeeping fields in here. And let me stress the importance of this. It's not something that you should skip. You should have housekeeping fields in every table because they're extremely important for troubleshooting problems. You know, the example of somebody who did the data entry incorrectly, you can find them and fix that problem. Or maybe something is happening maliciously in your database. Well, you can find out which account was logged on that did that and when it was done. So it can be extremely helpful to have these. You may not have them on a layout, but you can always put them on a developer layout and go, that's what happened to that record. So please do consider these very important and put them in every table that you create.